we've got 2 weeks here that could define Arsenal's season, particularly off the back of dropping points to Brighton.
Just Arsenal's, or could City's be defined as well?
Well, one hand washes the other.
Or as the saying goes.
I'd love to see how Turkish is feeling, because obviously of the last couple of weeks, you brought in Mikel Moreno, he gets injured. I know Gabriel Jesus picked up an injury as well. Then you had Declan Rice, who picked up an injury for England.
Red card.
Red card. Oh, sorry, the red card that he got sent off against Brighton. Sorry. And now, obviously, we've seen Martin Odegaard. We don't know the extent of the injury, but we've seen him hobbling around. Calafiori's out. Where's your midfield for this game against Spurs? And are you worried about that, or is it a case of it's only Spurs?
Nah, you can't. Listen. Spurs away for me is one of the most nerve-wracking games. It's a North London derby. And behind United, for me, I think it's the game growing up I most looked forward to. So we can't take it lightly. Midfield, where's our midfield? The transfer window, we left it light there. I mean, we're bare thin now.
What will it be?
Unfortunate.
What do you think it will be? Thomas Partey will start.
Partey, Jorginho.
Havertz?
If it was me, I'd do Partey, Jorginho, and Nanieri. It's a wild card. He's 17. They leave space. We need mobility in midfield.
Turkish, man.
Talented boy, though.
Yeah, anything outside of that now, we're doing cogs in different places. We move Havertz maybe into the 10.
Gabriel Jesus goes up front.
Or Sterling, I don't know. Or do you move Saka into the 10? Because Saka has played there a couple of times early on, performed well, but he's also our best winger.
No, you can't move. You can't move Saka.
It's right now, definitely Jorginho, Partey. I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say Nwaneri.
Can you talk on the defender, Timber in midfield? Zinchenko in midfield?
Zinni's been touted, but we haven't seen him start a game in midfield once for us.
But he's played more than Nwaneri's played twice for Arsenal. He hasn't started.
I just think Zinni in midfield.
Do you rate Zinchenko?
Is it a good player?
Squad player.
I don't.
But not as a
him,
midfielder.
Squad player.
I hate his face as well.
Not as a midfielder. I don't think you can play Zinchenko as a midfielder in a game of this magnitude.
He's a bit extra man.
He's like got quality on the ball when you give him time, but not in the centre of midfield.
And it's what he said as well. You know, like Zinchenko's the guy where if he comes in as the extra man,
you got the space time.
Starting in there is a bit different. It's like when people go start Trent in midfield. You're like,
yeah,
he's good coming over there, but you don't want to start him there. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's my point with Zinni. So defensively, I wouldn't shake it up. Ben White, in my opinion.
Keep the defense as it is.
With Trent, defensively, in my opinion, the best in the last 18, 24 months. So why
he would have been right back of the year last year, wouldn't he?
In my opinion, and the year before he was second behind Trippier, in my opinion. Trent's obviously generational and got all the talent in the world, but Ben White's up there. I wouldn't change that. Timber starts left back, defence is the defence. Midfield is literally, that's who we have. We have Jorginho, we have Partey, and we have Nwaneri.
Can't believe I'm saying this, but they've got a better midfield than you, haven't they, going into this game? I can't believe that that's true.
Basuma, Sarr.
But what we're basically asking
Madison's
is,
fantastic.
I don't know.
if Arsenal's second string is better than Spurs' first string.
I'd still take Partey. I think a Spurs fan, being honest, no bias. I know it's hard to say if you were a Spurs fan saying this. Partey starts for Spurs.
Zinchenko, was it Zinchenko who said Partey's the best DM he's ever played with?
Yeah. Over Rodri.
Yeah. Smoking something.
No, but he's just being friendly to his teammate, isn't he? It can't be true.
I wouldn't say Tottenham.
Like when I tell people Buvey's the best person I've ever worked with in football.
Who is it then?
It's you.
I'll take that, dude.
No, but do you know what I mean? Just being nice to his mate. Surely this isn't actually Booth. This isn't controversial. Arsenal's midfield that Turkish just pointed out compared to Basuma, Sarr, and Madison. Basuma, Sarr, and Madison is a better trio.
I think it's
than
closer.
Jorginho.
I think it's Jorginho's
I think
got a load of
Basuma
experience.
Partey are very, like
on their day.
They'll dominate.
Way better.
And then you got but Basuma's up there. On his day, Basuma could have a Partey performance.
Yeah,
Sarr and
Quite
Jorginho.
easily. In fact, I'd probably rather Basuma in my team.
What, over Partey?
Yep.
We've got the experience in there, and the more classy set in terms of the double pivot or the 6 and the 8 with Jorginho and Partey. On their day, they've been at the top level of football and back. But Madison, in terms of quality, he's the best midfielder on shot.
Could it be a case that Arteta tries to bypass the midfield and maybe do something a little bit different so that the fight isn't in the middle of the park?
Last season, we allowed Tottenham possession. I don't know if people remember the
And you
game towards
battered
the end. Yeah, 3-0 at half.
That game, people have been people that I've been speaking to and actually listening to on the radio today. That because that game finished 3-2, people were portraying it as being a very tight game.
Yeah,
and I actually remember we were watching it. I think we were in Ireland, and it was the most one-sided. Arsenal were so much better. Arsenal battered them. Okay, they slipped up a little bit. They went a bit soft towards the end. But it was the most one-sided North London derby I think I've ever seen. And 3-2 doesn't tell you that story.
No, it doesn't. 100%. We were slack, and it nearly cost us.
I think you could be onto something. I don't necessarily think that it will be that, but what we do know is that Mikel Arteta is a far supreme manager to Ange Postecoglou. So the answer actually could be in the dugout, whether it's bypass the midfield, maybe it's that, maybe whatever the answer is. I think Mikel Arteta.
And really, it's quite easy for him because Ange doesn't have a different way, so he knows how they're going to set up.
Yeah,
he knows how they're going to play.
And they got off the back. They got smashed at St James's Park last weekend. They got absolutely smashed. Spurs got ripped open.
They dropped points to Leicester. They've had a terrible start to the season, but people
slow.
love to portray it as being, I've never known any manager carry such favour with the press. Like they've had a woeful start to the season.
Give them good quotes and that.
I think if it was the Man City game without Rice is back for the Man City game, so that's a big difference. It's Spurs. I still think you can get through it.
I think Arsenal win the game.
I always think Arsenal beat Spurs.
I think Arsenal win the game. It's ridiculous. After all this, Arsenal win the game.
I predict the win because I think the space is there for us to take it to them, and I fancy our luck in a pinball game with them.
Yeah. You going?
No.
The next 3 games for both teams, Arsenal's are obviously Spurs, City, both away from home. Mm-hmm. Then they've got Leicester at home.
The important thing to flag onto that.
Yep.
They drew their last game as well. So it makes these, particularly the next 2, like, if Arsenal had beaten Brighton, you go maybe a draw against Tottenham and then a draw against City, it suddenly becomes okay. Whereas now you're looking at it, with the draw that they've already had, they can't really take 3 points out of 9, can they? They certainly can't take less than 3
playing
points.
Brentford the day before.
Yeah.
If City win that.
Well, by the time City play, by the time Arsenal kick a ball, Man City will be a symbolically big lead ahead. They'll be 5 points ahead of them.
Yeah, I think we get 9 points out of Brentford City versus Arsenal at home. I think that's a standard win with all due respect. And Newcastle away.
I do. You never beat Arsenal in the league last year, though.
Yeah, deflected effort, and they parked the bus at the Etihad to try and nick a draw. With all due respect, they did, didn't they?
Fine. But
the way City are playing right now,
you'll get used to him trying to dangle the bait.
I'm not.
Remember the season before? When you beat them twice? The season before, you beat them twice in the league and once in the cup.
Yep.
That's just the facts, and we appreciate the facts, and we have a conversation about them.
Yep.
Now let's just look at the facts from last season. Arsenal took 4 points off you in the league last year.
Yeah, they did. What I'm saying is, what I've seen from City so far this season, I know it's early, but the level is extremely high already. It's extremely high. De Bruyne's running games. Rodri's not even come back into the side yet. Haaland back-to-back hat-tricks. No one's ever scored 7 goals in the first 3 games of the Premier League. And I think he'll get a hat-trick against Brentford. And I can say that in a football podcast and not sound like a crazy...
Yeah, he's going to get his third hat-trick
myself
in a row.
up.
Yeah, and everyone goes, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Brentford have had a few results at the Etihad, though.
With Ivan Toney's now enjoying his retirement in Saudi Arabia.
Mate, by the way, let me just...
Yeah, £1 million.
Round of applause for Ivan Toney. Man went from League 2 to $500,000 a week on tax.
He actually went from League 2 to an England international, and he's thrown it all away.
How big are these next 3 games for both clubs and the title race? Is it too early to be going... This is a huge couple of weeks for the title race.
Nothing's won at this stage of the season, but you can lose it. If Arsenal don't take 6 points out of those 3 fixtures, bearing in mind the points they've just recently dropped.
If they beat Tottenham and they beat Leicester,
beat Tottenham, lose to City, beat Leicester, game on.
But they've lost to City.
Lose to City again.
They can lose to City.
They've lost to City.
When you say again, they didn't lose them last.
Yeah, you didn't lose that.
All right, we're saying they're going to lose. Okay, draw or lose. I want to see Arsenal go to the Etihad and show that they're a level above City. I think it's symbolic.
But the context has to be brought in.
I know the Emirates game's coming up.
They've got huge injuries. But me, Martin Odegaard's their best player. He's out.
How many times in Pep's history has someone gone away to a Pep side and shown them who's boss?
Yeah, and they've never won the league. Liverpool did it and they won the league.
We're talking about greater managers than Mikel. All of a sudden now the narrative is Arsenal have to go there and win. Hold on, how many times did Liverpool go to Etihad and win in the 60s?
They beat us loads and they won they got to the Champions League final.
At Etihad in the league, how many times did Liverpool?
When they got 99 points, they beat us that season.
Once. That's what I'm saying. So once. So now Arsenal.
That is the once they won the league. That's the only time they won the league.
And we would have won the league last year if we had beat them. So yes, people can.
Conte beat us, but we weren't holders at the time. But
I don't think that
2 draws in the next 2 games puts us 4 points behind City. We're beating Tottenham and losing to City puts us 5 points behind City. So it's mad that 2 draws puts us in a better position. You get it? And I think the bare minimum we need to stay in and around the conversation, because there is no race yet. The race is formed game week 19, game week 20. Then you'll know who's in the race.
But would it also be fair to say that it's very unlikely that the team that ultimately wins the league will take 4 points from a fixture against Brighton, Tottenham, and then their head-to-head rival.
Ask that question again.
So it's unlikely. It's unlikely that Arsenal will win the league or City will win the league if they only take 1 point from Brighton at home, 1 point from Tottenham away, and then they lose against their rival. Whoever wins the league out of you two will get more points against Brighton and Tottenham and each other.
I don't know. I think
Well, City have won the league whilst losing to Tottenham a lot.
and not performing great at Old
Yeah,
Trafford.
but Tottenham were never going for the title. These
No,
games
that's
matter.
not the point. No, that's not the point here.
Yeah.
He asked him, if Arsenal don't beat Spurs and Brighton,
Yeah.
and then they lose to City, can they still win the league? My point was, City have lost to Spurs and probably dropped points to Brighton and still won the league.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so it has happened previously, but
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just the accumulation of it back to back to back so early on. And like, I know what you said about the title race does warm up around game week 19, but if you're 6 points off on game week 19, City are going to think,
Yeah,
there's no title race, we're gone.
City have got no pressure. Obviously, there's pressure internally. There's a massive, high standard to achieve. Of course, there is. Lots of money swirling about. It's a very successful squad. But if you win 4 Premier Leagues in a row and break history multiple times with this generation of sides, the pressure's on Arsenal to try and take that off of City.
No, the
and I
pressure's
think
on
that's
the
massive.
I think that's an interesting question, actually. Mikel Arteta won a trophy a long time ago now and has been, really, really launching a sustained bid for the league. Second twice in a row, 2 points off it last season. Pep Guardiola is Pep Guardiola and the standards are through the roof. Who's it more... Weirdly, I think I agree with you, Buvey. It is more pressure for Arsenal this season.
There's more pressure on us this season. There's
More
more
pressure
pressure
on
on United this season. There's
there
more
is,
pressure
isn't there?
on
It's weird.
Chelsea
It's
this
basic
season.
negotiation. Whoever wants it less in a negotiation
In the big
is under the least amount of pressure. If I want something less from
Yeah.
you want it more from me.
Yeah, the pressure
then
is
I
on
can
me.
just say, well, I don't want to give
in
it
the
to you,
big six, let's look at the big six in general. They're the least under pressure in the whole big. Forget just Arsenal. Why is Arsenal just the only team?
Because you're the only competitor.
But
No,
no,
but
okay, from an Arsenal fan perspective, does
everyone is under
Arteta need a
pressure
trophy?
more so than City because no one really cares about if City win the league. That it comes down to that. If Arsenal are neck and neck with City at the end of the season, more often than not, the opposition fans will want City to win the league. Likewise with Liverpool, City, and United. Well, not necessarily United because that was
No,
a
United
sticky
will want
situation.
City to win the league if Liverpool are going for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's still a sticky situation.
Yeah.
You can't really ask to pick one. But yeah, that's what. So the pressure's always on us. The pressure was on us 4 years ago.
But there's-
When we
there's-
was
20
making-
years ago.
Challenging.
There's
top
an
four,
internal
15.
pressure though that comes with it as well, innit?
Yeah.
Like the team will be feeling
Just
their
being-
own pressures that are
Yeah.
separate from
And
our opinions
also,
and all
there's
those
also
kind
a
of
huge
things.
pressure. What would they be going for here? 5 in a row, which has obviously never been done, and it's never been done for
But
a
I
reason.
think that will bring like a little bit of a relaxation to it.
No, but the thing is, the reason why it's so pressured for City is because basically, if you don't get the 5 now, you're probably never going to get it. This squad of players won't.
It's one of those
because they'd
you
have to
don't
win
need
4 in a
5
row
year,
again to then
It's
get
like
the
Celtic doing
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you've
need
got to get the 10. You've got to get the 10 when it's that season because you're not going to get that opportunity again. So
In
they
terms
need,
of
they need it.
pressure, Turkish. Arsenal fans and Arteta, is there a pressure there towards him in terms of, all right, you need to deliver us a trophy?
100%.
And what is that? Is an FA Cup going to satisfy that urge? Or does it have to be one of the big two?
Do you know what it is? I want your opinion on it as well as Buvey and Rory as well. At the end of last season, my last fan cam of the season on AFTV, I said we're going to win the league next year because I expected us to do what we needed to have done in the summer, right? And throughout the summer, I was very patient looking at it. And I said, we have to win the league this year. And I also looked at Man City's lack of improvement over the summer. And in my opinion, year on year, they're a weaker side. Still a great side, still the best side in the league with the best manager. But year on year, I feel they are weaker with losing Gundogan and Mahrez last summer. Bringing Gundogan back, but losing Alvarez, I just feel like there was an advantage for us to take. We failed to take advantage of that in the summer. So I still think we need to win the Premier League. I don't think we will win the Premier League. And a lot of the fans will look at Mikel Arteta for that because it is his 5th year of the
So you said
process
that
and
you
so
thought
on.
you were going to win the league.
Because
You had to,
yeah.
and then within a few months because of the transfer window.
Yeah.
So is that one striker that you're missing? Is that the issue?
It's not one
The
striker.
one big
It's-
marquee signing?
It's a few holes, really. I mean, a backup to Saka, backup to Odegaard. Why did we let Smith Rowe and Vieira leave if we don't even have an option now? Odegaard's injured. Some of these things didn't make sense. Sterling's an upgrade on Nelson. Yes, but is he an upgrade on Nelson, Nketiah, Vieira, and Smith Rowe? No, he's not an upgrade on 4 bodies. He's an upgrade on 1, maybe 2 max. So in the summer, we didn't do anywhere near enough of what we should have done, in my opinion. Last year, I had the belief that we can win the league off the back of Rice, Havertz, and Timber, and so on. This year, I've got the belief that we're not going to win it because of what they've done. Now, Mikel's name will come up more often than not. I always look at the ownership. And I'll always continue looking at the ownership. McKola hasn't signed a contract right now. As we speak here, before this video goes out, he's let himself go into his last year. That's definitely not the club that have allowed that. If it was on the club, he would have signed last year. So why is he in his last year? It's either he doubts himself because he has mentioned maybe he is not the man to take us over the line before, or he's not happy with the transfer window and so on. We know what this club done to Wenger. Look how it ended with Wenger.
Although he spent a lot of money, like he's been backed, hasn't
But
he? He's been backed to a level that
needed to spend that money.
you're nearly at the brink of PSR issues. Like the reason that David Raya had to sign on loan and then sign properly was because of PSR issues.
But he did need to spend that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the team he took over needed investment.
Yeah, no doubt. But they have backed him as much as they possibly can because they're at the brink of PSR.
Especially when you like get Rice ahead of City and things like that as well.
Yeah, that was strong. And a lot of people used to say to me, Arsenal won't spend 100 mil. You're so negative. Why would you demand that? Then we spend 100 mil. It's like, oh wow, because we make that money. But the reality is the ownership have backed him back to square one. Square one was making Champions League football, right? That was square one for this ownership, and even challenging for a title. We're talking 20 years ago. Back to square one now. What do they do from here, Rory? Make 10 million profit. But let's talk about what they do from square one now, because I know what they're going to do.
You needed one more, didn't you? Alisson and Van Dijk for Liverpool. That was 150. You needed 200 mil. Rice and another 100 million.
Of course.
What Rory said's right as well, because what Turkish and Rory has said is both right. They needed to invest in that team, but because the players that left the club didn't have any resale value, their PSI is now blown to bits, and you've seen a lot of clubs now that are having to deal with it. And I feel like some clubs will go, like I think Liverpool this summer have gone, let's not spend, and next year they're going to splurge. Like they will have a big splurge, and I think a lot of clubs are going to do that.
Yeah, Arsenal just beat Tottenham.
It is just
Tottenham lads, isn't it? It's Tottenham lads.
The sky is blue, the grass
They have
is
to, by the
green,
way,
and
though.
Arsenal
That's the
beat
pressure.
Tottenham.
The underlying pressure is they have to.
No, but they have to beat
Spurs
Tottenham
already.
anyway.
Yeah, but already away from home. Back in the day, a draw's decent. Wow, they have to now.
Yeah, that's true.
The pressure's on.
That's true.
It is on.
I saw it against Brighton.
It is on.
That's true.
If Spurs beat Arsenal and they're on level on points,
There we go.
nice.